Excellent FastStone Image Viewer, a free program in Windows or for Windows, to scan a photograph and to add a caption at the bottom. From FastStone you can scan directly into the program by clicking on this icon. This opens the scan program, and I'm going to use my HP scanner here. So I click on scan, and this brings up a box where it enables me to click on preview. Now there's a quick view of the image is prepared for me, and I can now click on the bottom left of this little box here to do some adjustments. The only adjustment I want to make is to set the dots per inch, the resolution, to 600, which should be sufficient. I won't change any of these yet, I'll do those in the photo later. Click OK. Last thing, I'll just drag this corner in slightly to make sure there's no white border on the scanned image, and then click scan. This may take a few seconds at this resolution. Once the picture appears, don't forget to save it, otherwise you'll have to do the whole thing again. So just click on save, and I'm going to put it away in a folder. Save it at the highest resolution you can. And I'm going to click this browse button here and put it into my folder, Photos Temp. Click OK. And OK again. Once you're happy with the name. And once saved, click again, OK. I don't want to open it in Windows Explorer, so make sure I remove that before I click OK. And then just close the scan part of the image viewer. Now we just need to find where that photograph is by just going through the file in the folder. There it is. Double click on that image to bring it up into the editing screen. In Image Viewer, you bring up the various functions by moving your cursor to the left. I'm first going to adjust the lighting. I think it's all worth spending a few seconds doing this. A small adjustment to the contrast. Move the slider for the saturation, either to enhance, enrich the colours, or to subdue them by making them more negative. You'll see the boat on the right here is very white on side. By dropping down the highlights, it enables you to reveal a few more details in that boat. You can click on this button here to see the effects of your adjustments. I think it shows it's well worthwhile. Once you're happy, you can either keep the settings here if you have several photographs that are of similar nature, to save having to do that again, and click OK. Take the cursor to the left border again, and this time we will do a bit of sharpening. This opens up an enlarged portion of the photograph. You can adjust which portion you look at. And I use Unsharpen Mask. This has two values. The amount, which is quite a subtle effect as you move it from left to right, which says how much you want to sharpen. And the adjustment below, the radius, says how much you want this sharpening effect to bleed into one another. This is quite drastic, as you can see, very easy to overdo, so tend to keep this closer to the left side. Once you're happy with it, again you can review. Looking at that center, just see it's quite a subtle, I think worth doing, although this step is voluntary. And click OK. One final thing before we show adding the caption is that you can click on the clone and heal button on the left here to remove blemishes from the photograph. Let's just adjust this photograph slightly to show a couple of white spots, probably caused by dust on the photograph. And I see it tells you on the bottom left of the screen there, you hold down Control and click to gain a source, and then just move that over the blemish, and you see that disappears, and you click it to make it permanent. Again, we do it over here, choose another source and click over the blemish. I don't tend to do too much of this unless it's in a critical area like the face, or there's a tear or mark on the photograph that is pretty obvious. Once we're happy, just click OK. Now we're going to add the border at the bottom, which we do by selecting canvas size, and then I adjust the height, in this case by adding 100 pixels, by changing that value there. Obviously the choice is up to you. Click OK. You'll notice a white border has now appeared at the bottom. We now need to put some text in there, and we need to select the draw board to do that. Once selected, we will position the photograph so that we are over the white border at the base. And then click on the text button and click where we want to place that text. It's a little bit low, so we drag it where there comes a cross icon and move it up. The cross icon doesn't show on this slide, but it will show on your actual program. Expand the box to give us a bit more space. And then double click inside the box once we're happy with it in this position to start the text. We have the normal text controls up the top there. I'm going to center my text within the box. You could left align it or whatever. You have a choice of various text styles. I'm just going to use Arial. It's quite straightforward and clean. And then just type in the caption you want to have. These boats are on the Isles of Scilly. Down here there is a background button. If you notice, if you click that, the second colour in this couplet of colours here will become the background. And the first colour is the border colour around that box. You can change this to whichever colour you wish. Here I'm going to change the background to a yellow. But we don't really want that, so we'll put it back to white. If you don't want a border at all, you just click off the background and it disappears. This option here is opacity, more useful when you're writing on top of the photograph, and you can just let the photograph shine through. Drop shadows, I think, sort of just confuses the issue a bit when you're trying to read it. These are for the settings of box shadow if you want to use it. Drop shadow. Once you're happy, click OK. If we drag the mouse to the bottom of the screen, there's some more parameters we can change, one of which will be the zoom, where we can select fit and see the photograph in its entirety. Once we're happy with it, we should save it. I like to save it as a new photograph so I don't overwrite the original one I scanned. So put the button to the left column, choose Save As. I just keep it in the same folder but just change the name. Here I'm just adding Caption. Click Save. And there it is at the bottom right. You see, if we click on the original and then go to the next photo, rather silly one of me, and then there's the photograph of the boats with the resulting caption.